Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interest you have committed to our charge. Amen. Matters of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member for Pambashe, I can see 3.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my matter is directed on the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. I know he's not here, but our Honorable Vice President can relate the message to him. Madam Speaker, the past 2 days has been a disturbing days to the men and women in uniform, bearing in mind the statement that is attributed to the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Grafael Musamba, where it is said, Madam Speaker, that he will begin paging out officers that he termed to be PF officers. Madam Speaker, these are men and women in uniform who are, by constitution, are mandated to maintain peace and security. These men and women in uniform are the ones who provide security also for VVIP and including the VIPs. And the Inspector General of Police, being the man in charge of these important wing for internal security, has continued issuing statements that are dividing men and women in uniform. And the latest one is the one where it's been quoted in the newspaper, that those, I don't know how he's going to identify the PF police, whether him is a UPND police or is MMD police or is UNIP police, we don't know. Madam Speaker, those who've served as police officers, they know how important it is. The Minister for Water, they are the ones that provide security for you.
Honorable Member for Pambashe, you are addressing me and not the Minister. Please continue with your matter of urgent public importance.
Madam Speaker, according to our standing orders, speaking while sitting is violation of the standing orders. So the Minister must be cautioned. It is violation of our standing orders.
Honorable Member for Pambashe, please address me and continue with your matter of urgent public importance as guided.
Madam Speaker, Zambia is for all of us. Yeah. It belongs to all of us. And that we must bear in mind. And the Zambians have given us responsibility to preside over the interest of this country. And when a certain profession, Madam Speaker, is threatened by the top command of issuing statements that are bordering on dividing the security of this nation, all of us, we must get concerned. Therefore, is the Minister, Madam Speaker, I seek your guidance whether the Minister of Home Affairs is in order to sit quiet without averting the anxiety that is growing among us men and women in uniform who are providing security for all of us. I seek your serious guidance, Madam Speaker. You have never been a police officer.
Thank you so much. The Honorable Member for Pambashi, please come up with a question so that your issue can be addressed on the floor of the House through a question. It's unfortunate that the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs is not around, but you'll get the question. Please go ahead and file it in a question. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance is directed to the Minister of Community Development and Social Services, but I can't see her here. Maybe I can direct this to our Honorable Vice President so that she can relay the message to her.
Okay, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, several beneficiaries of social cash transfer throughout the country, and Chama North is not exceptional, have not received their social cash transfer in some instances, Madam Speaker, for more than 3 months now. And this is the trend. I've been trying to interview several members of parliament, especially rural MPs. The situation, Madam Speaker, is the same countrywide. Madam Speaker, social cash transfer was introduced to uplift our people out of poverty. Now, if people cannot be paid for more than 3 to 4 months, these beneficiaries are going through serious financial burden, especially a hunger situation. Some can't even take their children to school. I made several efforts, even before Parliament resumed. When I was in the constituency, I called the Minister of Community Development over the same matter. But up to this time, these issues remain unresolved, and we are receiving phone calls on a daily basis. And the Parliament is rising next week. So what message, what information are we going to give our people, because they need answers? So I seek your serious indulgence in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Chama North. The way you've presented this matter, it seems to be an odd matter. Was you even indicated to say that it started 3-4 months ago. And the matter of urgent public importance, it has to be of recent occurrence. So that matter, since it's very, very important, can you please come up with a question, probably an urgent question, so that as you go back home, you'll be able to give proper feedback to your people as to what is pertaining or what is going on with the social cash transfer. The last one is the Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Madam Speaker, my urgent matter of public importance is
the Honorable Member for Lumezi, you may take your seat. There is an indication for a point of order. What is your point of order, the Honorable Member for Lunte?
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. My point of order is based on Standing Order number 204. Madam Speaker, a member who is seated in this chamber is disallowed from debating while seated. Madam Speaker, as the Honourable Member of Parliament for Pambashi was tendering his matter of urgent public importance, the Minister responsible for water development, Honourable Mposha, and the Minister responsible for Labour and Social Security, Honourable Tambatamba, were busy debating and debating against a member who you recognized to make a submission. Madam Speaker, are these two ministers in order to breach your standing orders and start debating when you have duly recognized a member to make a submission on the floor of the House, thereby disturbing his flow of thought. He wanted to tell us that he himself has been a police officer, and he failed to say so because of the misbehavior of these ministers. Are they in order, Madam Speaker? I seek your serious ruling, Madam.
Honorable members, we all know that we are not supposed to debate while seated. But this is something that has been going on. And us as presiding officers, we usually try to remind you that please don't debate while seated. So if there was somebody who was debating while seated, they were out of order. It's straightforward. We are not supposed to debate while seated. There's nothing I can say more. The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my urgent matter of public importance is directed at Her Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, it may sound as if it's a reputation. I raised it when no life was lost. Madam Speaker, early this year, I had mentioned on the floor of this House that we've witnessed the mushrooming of groups calling themselves the Umozi Kumawa. Members of Parliament from the East were on camera condemning the formation of Umozi Kumawa. Kola Foundation, members of Parliament were on camera condemning the formation of the Kola Foundation. No life has been lost from the group of those that call themselves Umozi Kumawa. No life has been lost on those that call themselves from the Kola Foundation. Madam Speaker, when the Liungandambo announced its launch, no single member of Parliament went to condemn that formation. Yesterday and the other day, we all woke up to a rude shock that an Induna has been assassinated in Mongo. The silence from this government, Madam Speaker, where life has been lost, when initially the guidance given to this House was that the government is managing this issue concerning the BRI. But now life has been lost. Madam Speaker, are we going to sit in this House, the People's House, and pretend that all is well when life is being lost? Madam Speaker, the people need an explanation from the government. Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence. Thank you.
It's actually very difficult to get exactly what the matter is. Of course, we have heard that there was somebody who was killed in Western Province. That is very bad. But we are very sure that the government, through the police, I'm sure they are investigating the matter. It's even a pity that the Minister of Home Affairs is not around. He was going to maybe update us. I don't know, Your Honor, the Vice President, whether you want to say something. Because for me, really, this matter is not admissible. But maybe, I don't know whether you have a word or so for them. You can go ahead, Your Honor, the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would have said a lot of things, but like you have already guided. Except really the honorable member, he is claiming that he has evidence. See, to make allegations like that, you are saying you have evidence that the death of the Nduna Imete has been because of the Nyungandam. Have you investigated? Can we speak, please? Honorable, you asked a question.
You can take your seat, Honorable Member.
I hope I'm making sense, Madam, here.
Order, Honorable Members, order. I think I had given the floor to our Honor the Vice President to respond. Your Honor, the Vice President,
Thank you,
may go ahead.
Madam. Thank you. Please, I'm speaking to all of us as representatives of the people. This is a serious matter. Murder is a serious matter. You can't attribute already to some cause unless the Honorable has evidence of who has killed this person, or he knows that it comes from an organization. As a member of parliament, let us be serious. This government is investigating. And if it is found that it has to do with what you are saying, that's a different matter. It will be dealt with. But you can't come here and allege that the murder of a very important person, although every life is important, is because of this. Honorable, if there is evidence, can you sit down, Honorable?
Honorable member, please take your seat.
I hope you do understand me, colleagues. You can't come here and start saying because whatever kumozi kumawa, kola, and what is the relationship here? There is no relationship for now. Nobody has established anything. Investigations, madam, are going on to find who did the deed, who is the culprit. Then you can say, is this person related to this or not? But to make that allegation is wrong. Zambians are listening. You don't come here without evidence and allege that the death has come out of Linyongandambo. That is not correct, madam. Thank you.
Thank you. This matter, honorable members, I think we'll leave it as it is for now. Our Honor, the Vice President, has responded. If the honorable member for Lumezi is not satisfied, can you please come up or maybe find another avenue of coming back with... No, can you come back to this house, maybe using another platform, so that maybe your question will be understood, but as for now, I'm sure Her Honor, the Vice President, has responded, and I also, in the beginning, mentioned that this matter is under investigation. It has not been concluded, or it has not been closed. It's under investigation. But if you've got information, Honorable Member for Lumezi, please give reports to the relevant bodies that can deal with that information. Do you still want to say something, your Honorable Member for Lumezi? I think I have guided all the honorable members. I have already guided. I've already guided to say, let the honorable member, if he is not satisfied, come back to this house, maybe using another fora. We make progress. Questions for oral answer, understanding order number 74. The honorable member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 319.
The Honorable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member, Mr. Meutu, asked the Minister of Justice, A, at what intervals local courts countrywide receive grants from the government, and B, whether there are any plans to increase the amounts of each grant. Our response, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the local courts receive for court operations quarterly a total sum of 1 million, currently 1,741,643 kwacha and 18 ngwe, which is sent to the provinces for the first quarter. The said amount is a combined total for all 10 provinces. The honorable member might wish to know that previously the quarterly funding for the 10 provinces was 550,000 kwacha per quarter, and it was only increased, Madam Speaker, to the said amount that I mentioned earlier, to 1,741,643 kwacha 18 ngwe in the second quarter of 2022. Whilst previously disbursements were erratic, these funds are now received by the local courts consistently in the first 2 weeks of each quarter. B, government shall, based on the available fiscal space, strive to increase the allocation to the judiciary for purposes, to continue increasing the allocation to the judiciary for purposes of infrastructure, buildings, and rehabilitation. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we praise for the vote of 2021, which has culminated into that increase from 500,000 to 1 million plus. Honorable Minister, the local courts which are all over the rural areas of this country, serving all the citizens in the rural areas. From the government's point of view, even when there's that increase to 1 million plus, is it possible for local courts to operate effectively, for them to procure stationery and whatever logistics is required for them to perform accordingly? Is that amount sufficient enough? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Before the Minister responds, there's an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Lumezi, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I raise this standing order pursuant to 65 and 207, specifically 2072D. Madam Speaker, I labor to be as clear as possible in what I say. Her Honor, the Vice President, used words that were not part of my vocabulary. She charged emotional. Madam Speaker, she was very emotive when speaking. I agree I was not allowed to do a follow-up question, but for her to impute certain words that I didn't use, Madam Speaker, is putting me in harm's way with a certain sect of society. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling. I never use the word evidence in my mouth. Yes, I'm not a teacher by profession, but I've never used that word.
Honorable Member for Lumezi, I had guided over the same matter to say that if you were not satisfied with the response that was given by Her Honor the Vice President, please find another platform so that you are heard the way you want to be heard, using another platform. There are so many ways that you can come back to the House. Because as far as I'm concerned, well, even if I had asked Her Honor the Vice President to respond, your matter was not admissible. So I heard you. If you are not satisfied, if you are saying no, Her Honor the Vice President didn't attend to you the way that you had wanted to, the matter to be attended to, please come back using another platform. over the same matter. It will be attended to. I'll ask the Honorable Minister to respond to the question that was raised by the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In response to the supplementary question from the Honourable Member for Kalabo Central, for which we are most grateful, I would say, Madam Speaker, in areas of public service, that it's impossible to say that any allocation would be sufficient. Because there's always going to be increased demand for those public services, and the services offered by the judiciary through the local courts are no exception. So we, as the New Dawn government, as the Honourable Member would have noted from my response, have taken extreme measures to try and meet the demand that is there. A threefold increase, more than threefold increase, must be commended, Madam Speaker, from a situation where the entire judicial local court structure was only receiving 500,000 kwacha for operations. I think we have demonstrated that we are willing to meet as much as possible that demand, this fiscal space allowing, and the Honourable Member and the constituents of Kalabo Central must keep that as the hope for increased allocations in the future. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kasenengwa.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. The people of Kasenengwa, Madam Speaker, would like to get some clarification from the Minister of Justice. And the news of, if what I heard is right, then it's quite exciting. Honourable Minister, is that 1 million per local court, or it's a sum that is given to a district regardless of the local courts they have? Is it per local court, or it's per province? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In my response, I did mention that it's a combined total for all 10 provinces, for all the local courts that subsist in the country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The local courts play a very major role in bringing unity and justice to much of the population in the rural areas. Primary schools are being funded individually. Wouldn't the government think that way, that courts or districts to be funded directly instead of the districts receiving their grants through the provincial administration? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Madam Speaker, if I understood the question as it was originally put, there was no issue about the mode of disbursement. What the Honourable Member is now asking me is going beyond the scope of the question, which is whether or not there is an allocation that is given. Suffice to say that at this level of response, had the Honourable Member asked for the detail as to the manner of disbursement and the amount received by each respective local court, that information could have been given. As at now, it's not possible for me to give information as to the manner of disbursement. I also wish to clarify, for the sake of the previous Honourable Member who seemed a bit concerned about my response as to this being a combined total, that the figure I'm referring to is only in relation to operations, not every aspect of the local court's subsistence. So matters of infrastructure are paid for separate from this fund that I'm referring to. I hope that helps to clarify. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Mitete.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, matters of death remains matters of death. And the country does follow the proceedings of this House. And the relatives to the deceased do watch May I thank the Minister of Finance that the allocation, as indicated by the Minister of Justice, has been increased. Local courts, Minister, if 1.7 million now was 500, I don't know how operations used to be. Minister, are you directing that from the national to the provinces, the province will see the trickling down of this same amount of operations to local courts? Matters of death under investigations remain so. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To answer the question relating to the local courts, Madam Speaker, indeed, the sum that was made available in an inconsistent manner in the past literally had the effect of crippling the local courts. Now, as per my answer, the allocation is consistent and it is distributed to the local courts in an equal and even manner, regardless of their location. Madam Speaker, indeed, as the Honourable Member alluded to, the local courts are part of the process of dispensation of justice, which this government takes with the seriousness it deserves. And I don't know whether it was by way of background on the question of the importance of local courts and the court system generally. Indeed, matters of justice cannot be taken lightly and trivialized in any public forum, especially where life has been lost. The superior courts play their part to ensure that justice is delivered in the criminal justice process, and they are funded accordingly. And I must reiterate that they must be allowed to do their job, especially for sensitive matters, rather than individuals taking platforms such as the floor of this House to trivialize them. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Luwasenshi.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much for Honorable Minister's responses. As the people of Zambia, in particular rural areas, issue of administration at local court level is something else, Madam Speaker. And it's for this reason I would like to find out from the Minister of Justice if he has taken time to visit these local courts, especially in rural areas like Ikarabo, Luansesh constituents, and appreciate what is happening when it comes to areas of operation. And if not, do you have plans to visit these rural local courts so that you can able to make some decisions that will make sure that will promote and support justice at local court level? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Justice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Although the question does again go outside of the scope of what was initially asked, I will nonetheless endeavor to respond. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, before talking about my duties in the portfolio of the Ministry of Justice, I have practiced law myself for the last 23 plus years in this country. Therefore, I am well versed with the state of the various court infrastructure across the country, with my vast experience, including the local courts. And in my portfolio as Minister of Justice, I'm aware that there has been progressively in the last 2 years and 6 months a vast improvement from what was there in the past. Not to suggest that there is perfection. Our people still need services. Our people still need improvement. But the most critical steps have been taken, including with the proactivity from some of the honorable members in this House. We have seen a situation where CDF is used to bolster the efforts of the judiciary by constructing some of these facilities. We have seen from the budgets that have been presented on the floor of this House that the judiciary has put an increased allocation towards the lower court infrastructure, that's including the subordinate court, which is equally important, just as the local court is. So, Honourable Member, we can assure the people of Luasentia and the people of the country as a whole that we'll continue to try and improve their basic services in terms of delivery of justice to them. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next question, the Honourable Member for Chitambo.
Question 320, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Chitambo constituency, Mr. Mutale, is asking my ministry the following questions. Whether government will empower marketeers in Chitambo district. And the product is marketeer booster loan. That's a question or response. The loan product code CEC Marketeer Booster Loan is a micro credit loan targeting marketeers in Zambia with viable businesses. The Commission offers this product with the interest-free, disbursing between 500 and 5,000 as a loan to marketeers. The loan tenure is up to 6 months. From the time the product was launched in November 2022 up to December 2023, the total of 74,392 marketeers countrywide have benefited from the Marketeer Booster Loan. Out of this total, 7,940 were marketeers who benefited from Central Province, of which 69 were from Chitambo district. This means the government is empowering all marketeers across the country, including those that are coming from Chitambo district. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honourable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, I was almost not getting what the minister was responding, because there was another minister there who was doing what he was doing, which I think people from the executive, Madam Speaker, must give us chance when we ask questions to listen to the answers. Madam Speaker, I would like the minister to indicate the 69, which markets where or they came from, or which markets are these 69 persons coming from. I know it is in Chitambo, but what are the names of those markets? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, the 69 are people who are into small businesses, who are into markets in Chitambo. I may not really single out them those markets in Chitambo, but I would like to invite the minister the MP for Chitambo to pass through the office, and then we will be able to help him to know which markets they are coming from. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, your ministry is one which is demanded in almost every constituency, especially that you are dealing with marketeers. You have not done anything for the people of Lundazi and their markets, and the Honorable Member for Chitambo constituency does not even know which individuals you have empowered in Chitambo. Are you in a position to lay the list on the table so that the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chitambo can have evidence and be able to tell his people that they received the empowerment? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, I just said the MP for Chitambo should come to the ministry, and we will be able to give out those who have benefited from the Marketeer Booster Loan. I mentioned that 69 have benefited, and we do have the records. But also, Madam Speaker, I just want to say the ministry is empowering every district or every constituency. Even in Lundazi, we have people who have benefited, but last time I stood here, I said I have a date to visit Eastern Province, and Lundazi will be visited and will be able to reconcile those who have benefited and those who are yet to benefit. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, for me to come up with this question, it means that I know what is obtaining in Chitambo, and the Honorable Minister, I've engaged him on several fora. And at one point, Madam Speaker, he even gave me forms to take the people of Chitambo, and I took them myself. And those forms, at the point of delivery, he gave me another excuse, which he knows in his heart here. That is why, Madam Speaker, I came up with that question. Now, my follow-up question is, why is the minister working in isolation? Why is the minister working in isolation at the Honorable Minister? Give me a chance, please. I don't want to say bad things to you.
The Honorable Member for Chitambo, I am listening because you are addressing.
No, Madam Speaker, here in this Parliament, other people are being sent out for doing such things, but you are allowing them to continue like that.
Which
As you are being sent out.
Honorable Member for Chitambo, I think that is why you have to recognize the presence of the chair. Just direct the question to me, and I'm going to call upon the minister to respond to your question. Never mind about those people that are making running commentaries. Your duty is just to direct your question to me, and I'll ask the minister to respond. Please go ahead. What is your question?
Madam Speaker, is it the intention of the minister to come into Chitambo and work alone, leaving out the Member of Parliament, who is also part of government? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, the minister is not working in isolation. We have Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission who have been mandated to give out these loans. We have the ministry in Chitambo, the officer is there. When I speak out the policy direction over that, they carry out what the government is saying. So all I'm saying is that Chitambo have benefited, but maybe I would say we will increase the number at a given time when money is available. We are not working in isolation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when you look at the policies of President Hakainde Hichilema to empower the citizens, he increased the CDF from 1.6 to 28.3 and 30.6, where there is a component of empowerment. Is the Minister of SME, Small, Medium and Enterprise, advising the Honorable Member of Chitambo to advise the marketeers to form small cooperatives and apply for grants where he can fulfill his passion. So, since he's so passionate about the people in Chitambo, I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, the government, or rather the ministries, are not working in isolation. We work with local government. My ministry work with the local government. Even in Chitambo, they work with the councils to identify the SMEs who should be empowered through the empowerment in CDF and also in our ministry. So we working as a team.
Honorable members, just a guide. The question is very straightforward and very specific to the marketeer booster loans. So as we ask questions, let's keep the main question in mind. Let's not come up with new questions that are not related. The Honorable Member for Kasenengwa.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to ask a follow-up question, though I must admit that the people of Kasenengwa are shocked that there's a marketeer booster loan being offered. They are very disappointed, actually. Madam Speaker, through you, we wish to find out from the Minister of Small Scale who administers these loans in the districts so that people can go there regardless of being a member of whichever political party, so that we know exactly the office. We want to know who administers them, because it appears some of these things are shrouded in secrets, and that is why the member of Parliament for Chitambo is disappointed, just like the people of Kasenengwa are disappointed. Who administers these loans in the district so that people can be free to walk into that office and apply for a marketeer booster loan than shrouding these processes in secrets? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, there is no secrecy here. Government is giving this product to every Zambian. That's number one. Number two, we have our officers in each and every district. So the member of Parliament for Kasenengwa, we have our officer there. Visit that office, find out if you won't get advice or the forms. Then you come back to me. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chikankata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for your good statement. Minister, this money is meant for economical empowerment of our marketeers, but using the 69 people who benefited in Chitambo constituency, has the money achieved its intended goal? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Madam Speaker, these are small loans and we're empowering micro businesses. Those that are selling fitumbua, those that are selling tomatoes, candolo, and so on. And so far we've seen the repayment from these smaller businesses.
All the honorable members, sorry, Honorable Minister, there seem to be so many voices. We can't get what you are saying. Can we please lower our voices so that we'll be able to hear the response from the Honorable Minister? Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Madam Speaker, I was saying we're empowering micro businesses, smaller businesses. And they've appreciated for sure. They've actually started paying back. And this is an indication that they are benefiting from there and they are making profit and they are paying back. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mukushi South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have indicated that the 69 beneficiaries obviously were identified by your officer in Chitambo. Are you able to share us with the name of that officer so that the honorable member can go and see that officer and find out how he or she identified these beneficiaries? I thank you, Madam.
Bringing names again, I feel very uncomfortable. The Honorable Minister had indicated that their offices. The Honorable Minister for Small and Medium Enterprise Development, where can they find the offices?
Our offices in Chitambo, they should just go to our DC's office and the DC.
You may go ahead, Honorable Minister.
The DC will be able to say that is the office because that is a new district and we squatting somewhere. Where we are squatting as a ministry. I need protection, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honorable Members, order. On the left, can we allow the Honorable Minister to conclude his response? Honorable Minister, you may go ahead.
That's a new district, and we don't have much infrastructure there. That's why I said the member of parliament for either Chitambo should just go and visit our DC's office. Then he will be directed where the ministry's office is, and you'll be able to verify and get the facts. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I do agree with you. These monies are actually changing and transforming people's lives, especially those who are doing businesses in different markets. However, I just wanted you to confirm with me how many people with disabilities, the PWDs, that could have received this funding in Chitambo.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
We're very inclusive, Madam Speaker, but I may not know exactly the number of those of our friends with stability to benefit from Marketeer Booster Loan. But I can come back to the House and give how many have benefited.
Thank you. I'll pick the last two, the Honorable Member for Pambashe and the Honorable Member for Mongu Central, in that order. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I got interested when the Minister said these officers are all in all the 116 districts, and we may not seek the names. Maybe the Minister would do well to give us the designation of this office. Are they coordinating district, what, so that if I know the designation, in Kawambo I can also take advantage of Chitambo and go and look for that office, because I'll be interested to know the designation of this officer in all the 116 districts. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
That question, Madam Speaker, I said it, that we have officers, that's number one. And these officers are coordinating ministries' responsibility to grow small and medium businesses.
Thank you.
In districts. They are actually district coordinating officers. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'm sure now it's very clear. Let's look for those officers and start working with them. The last member, the Honorable Member for Mongu Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Minister for SMME. And we want to thank you as people of Mongu Central because we know that your ministry has been giving out these market booster loans through CC, because we have a CC office in Mongu. But I just wanted to find out that whether as you give to the people of Chitambo, which I know they have received as well, I just wanted to find out the recovery rate, because these are supposed to be revolving loans, so that we can be able to expand to the number of beneficiaries who are benefiting from these market booster loans. Thank you, Minister.
The Honorable Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Recovery rate is not very bad. Average, we are able to recover the funds, meaning about 50% marketeer booster loan are actually paying back. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Is it a point of order? What is your point of order?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Amat Pence, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mongu, has just submitted that his people in Mongu have received this money, and so is the people of Chitambo. Madam Speaker, these people are listening. I'm just receiving messages on my phone here. And I can bring the phone to you, Madam Speaker, to see.
What is the point of order?
The point of order is, the people of Chitambo are not happy to hear that Member of Parliament saying that they've received this money when in actual sense they haven't. Is he in order, Madam Speaker, understanding Order 65B, to be very factual? And he hasn't laid any document on the table, Madam Speaker, to show that these are the people of Chitambo who have received the money. Is he in order to mislead the nation, the people of Chitambo, including the MP for Chitambo, that people of Chitambo have benefited from this empowerment scheme? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chitambo, who've been discussing your question. A lot of questions, actually, supplementary questions, came out, keeping in mind the main question that you raised. And the Honorable Minister answered, gave us responses. And along the way, I had also guided the House to say, can we please stick to the question? So when the Honorable Member for Mongu Central brought in that issue, it was outside this question. So if it was truly mentioned in that way, then the Honorable Member for Mongu Central was out of order. But the Honorable Member for Chitambo, he has received responses from the Honorable Minister that he is supposed to take to his people, if at all they were not listening. But most of the people, I believe, were listening on radio, TV, the responses that came from the Honorable Minister for Small and Medium Enterprise. And that is exactly the information which is pertaining in his ministry. If the people of Chitambo are not happy, I'm sure we heard from the Honorable Minister there, inviting the Honorable Member for Chitambo to go to the office and continue this discussion so that the Honorable Member for Chitambo will be assisted, so that the people of Chitambo will be happy. So the Honorable Member for Chitambo, please visit the office of the Minister until your people are happy. That's why the Minister is there. He's there for the people of Chitambo. Let's make use of that office until we get what the people want. We can make progress now. We are through with the questions. Notice of motion, the Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Madam Speaker, I seek the indulgence of this House to defer the motion to a later date. Thank you.
Thank you. Leave granted. We can now move to the orders of the day. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
The Minerals Regulation Commission Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2024, second reading.
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be read for the second time.
The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I wish to thank you most sincerely for giving me this opportunity to highlight the principles of the Minerals Regulation Commission Bill. The object of the bill are as follows: regulate and monitor the development and management of mineral resources in the Republic, establish the Minerals Regulation Commission and provide for its functions, establish the Mining Appeals Tribunal, repeal and replace the Mines and Minerals Development Act 2015 and provide matters connected with or incidental to the foregoing. Government Gazette Notice, Madam Speaker, number 1123 of September 2021 provides for the functions of the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development to be responsible for the managing the development and utilization of minerals and petroleum resources in the country. The Gazette Notice provides for various functions which include cadastral survey and exploration, geological survey and mapping, mineral exploration, mineral processing and research, mines and minerals development, mines and minerals policy, mine safety, petroleum exploration and mining, and precious metal mining. The ministry, through its 4 technical departments, namely the Department of Mines Development, the Geological Survey, the Mine Safety Department, and the Mining Cadastre Department, carries out its mandate in accordance with Section 5 of the Mines and Minerals Act number 11 of 2015. Section 5 provides for establishment of these departments under the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development. Currently, the ministry's presence extends to 6 regional offices across the country, namely Chipata, Solwezi, Mukushi, Mansa, Kitwe, and Choma, with the ministry's headquarters in Lusaka. However, due to the inadequate institutional capacity for the ministry in terms of existing structure, lack of equipment, inadequate skills, low staffing levels, and inadequate financial resources, the ministry's regulatory function has been hampered, resulting in failure to effectively and efficiently monitor the sector and thereby posing various challenges. The challenges include increase in illegal mining activities, social conflicts arising from mining operations, non-compliance with industry standards, and regulation in occupational health, safety, and environmental management, and sustainable mining practices, and loss of government revenue. Furthermore, the inadequate institutional capacity has been compounded by the new and emerging development in the mining sector, both in Zambia and globally. These issues include broader spectrum of mineral commodities extending across diverse geographical regions, technological advancements resulting in operational complexity and growing effects of climate change, and the need for mitigation and adaptation measures. The global energy transition and decarbonization towards cleaner energy alternatives, environmental and social governance priorities, and the ongoing geopolitical factors have also contributed in government through the Ministry of Mines failing to adequately and sustainably manage the mining sector in Zambia. The rationale, Madam Speaker, in 2022, government through the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development undertook studies to Tanzania and Ghana to study the regulation of the mining sector. The study revealed that the two jurisdictions had established institutions that carried out the monitoring and enforcement of regulations in the mining sector, resulting in the effective and efficient monitoring of the sector. The ministry also undertook literature review of other mining jurisdictions, which also showed that putting in place an institutional framework similar to the Mining Regulation Commission can effectively monitor and regulate the mining sector and bring about significant benefits to government and the citizenry as well as the private sector. It is for this reason that government through the Ministry of Mines and Minerals Development recognizes the need to undertake the reforms of the existing principal legal framework on mining, namely the Mines and Minerals Act No. 11 of 2015, to pave the way for establishment of the new institution to effectively regulate the mining sector. The Mines and Minerals Act development, Madam Speaker, I need to be protected. The Mines and Minerals Development Act is therefore being repealed and replaced, resulting in the ministry drafting two bills, namely the Minerals Regulation Commission Bill to establish the Commission and the Geological and Minerals Development Bill, which seeks to regulate exploration activities, promote government and private sector collaboration in mineral resource exploration in Zambia. The Minerals Regulation Commission Bill seeks to establish the Minerals Regulation Commission to superintend over the affairs of the development and management of mineral resources and its entire value chain. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the House supports towards the enactment of the bill is critical in ensuring that the right legal and institutional frameworks are put in place to enable the mining sector to be more vibrant and make Zambia a major global player in the supply chain, in the energy transition and decarbonization agenda. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Any further debate? The chairperson of the Committee on Cabinet Affairs.
Madam Speaker, the Committee on Cabinet Affairs was tasked to scrutinize the Mineral Regulations Commission Bill, National Assembly Bill No. 1 of 2024, referred to it by the House on 23 February 2024. This bill seeks to regulate and monitor the development and management of mineral resources in the Republic, establish the Mineral Regulation Commission and provide for its functions, establish the Mining Appeals Tribunal, and repeal and replace the Mines and Mineral Development Act of 2015. Madam Speaker, I wish to state from the outset that all the stakeholders who appeared before the committee supported the bill. The committee also fully supports this bill. However, there are concerns raised by stakeholders which I will bring to the attention of this Honorable House. Madam Speaker, the committee is aware that mining is a very important and strategic sector in Zambia. However, there have been concerns from various stakeholders that the Zambian people, who are the owners of the mineral resources, are excluded from mining and do not sufficiently benefit from it. They argue that because mining companies are largely owned by the foreigners, they are not sufficiently contributing to total tax revenue as they should be, because they repatriate most of their profits abroad. It is in this regard that the deliberations on the bill centered on the need to ensure that it provides for ownership of the minerals by the Zambian people. Madam Speaker, as I have stated, stakeholders were concerned that the bill does not provide for ownership of minerals by the Zambian people. The omission of this important object in the bill amounts to supporting the current arrangement where mining is driven and owned by foreigners. The committee also shares the concerns of the stakeholders and is for the view that the bill should provide for an additional object which reads, to provide for the ownership of the minerals. The committee fears that if the ownership of minerals is not explicitly stated in the objects of the bill, the ordinary Zambians will continue to be excluded from mining activities and will therefore continue to be disadvantaged, as is the prevailing situation. Madam Speaker, regarding the appointment of the board as provided for in Clause 7, the committee appreciates the current practice where ministers appoint the members to the board. The committee is also alive to the debate in the recent times calling for the reduction of powers of the presidents by limiting such appointments. However, considering the strategic nature of the mining sector in the economy, where it contributes a substantial proportion of the country's gross domestic product, foreign exchange earnings and employment creation, the committee is of the view that the Minerals Regulation Commission should be an exception so that board members are appointed by the President. The committee is aware that there are a few commissions in Zambia whose members of the boards are still appointed by the President. Further, Madam Speaker, the committee learned that in Ghana, where the technocrats went to benchmark, the President appoints both the commissioners and the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission. Undoubtedly, the sector is lucrative and as such attracts rich multinational companies who have the potential to abuse their influence to gain favors from government. It should therefore be guarded jealously because it holds the wealth of Zambians. Madam Speaker, despite mining activities cutting across and being connected to various sectors through forward and backward linkages, the composition of the board of the Commission in Clause 7 is limited to representation from the ministries. This oversight might lead to underrepresentation of other sectors and can be a source of conflict in future. In this regard, there is need to broaden the representation of membership to the board by including stakeholders such as traditional leaders, civil society, the private sector, and other key ministries such as local government and rural development, and commerce and trade and industry. Madam Speaker, I am confident that all honorable members have had an opportunity to read the committee's report. In this regard, I will conclude by reaffirming the committee's support for this very important bill, as it is generally addressing and aiming to resolve many of the shortcomings under the current mining legal regime. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you and all the stakeholders who appeared before the committee and tendered both oral and written submissions. I would also like to thank the Office of the Clerk for the support given to the Cabinet Affairs Committee during our deliberations. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Was that a point of order?
Madam Speaker, Standing Orders 202 is instructive on members of Parliament, particularly on how we dress when we come to Parliament. I am aware because yesterday the Honourable Member for Chilubi was unfairly treated in the manner he was curtailed from debating. Today, Madam Speaker, he has decided in protest to come dressed like a ninja. Is the House in order, Madam Speaker, to now degrade members to start coming in protest dressed the way the Honourable Member has come dressed? I seek your indulgence.
For the sake of time, we have the PF whip. Can you please attend to that matter? Because I was seeing as if that is a face mask. But the PEF whip, please can you attend to that matter so that we make progress? Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Pambashi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I support the introduction of the Mineral Commission. For this is a brainchild that we put in a lot of effort under the recovery plan. Those that have read, they can agree that 90% of the content of this commission is an extraction of the recovery plan that was launched at Mulungushi International Conference Center. So, Minister, I support it fully, and except I need to highlight in certain functions that indeed under the corporate governance, the board to be appointed by the Republican president, and then that may raise the status of the commission at the ministerial level, and it becomes a big problem for supervision. That becomes a key conflict for supervision because the board members will feel we are appointed by the president. The minister will say, I'm appointed by the president. The permanent secretary will say, I'm appointed by the president. So we may create a future conflict, Madam Speaker. Yes, it may be an exception, but that's why even the decision, when it came to making sure that boards that are appointed by the president are those corporations and organizations that were moved to the Industrial Development Corporation, then the president becomes the chairperson. You raises the profile above the status of the minister. Now, unless until we say that the formation of this commission will also be surrendered to the Industrial Development Corporation, that is chaired by the president, then the president will have a mandate to supervise and appoint the commissioner, the general. I don't know whether that person will be referred to as commissioner general or director general, including the board. And further, Madam Speaker, if you listen from the chairpersons and the bill and the submissions by a lot of witnesses, Zambia is endowed with a lot of natural resource. And the only thing we have as Zambians is our natural resource minister. So we have an opportunity to protect the interests of citizens, the unborn children, by capping it into the bill, by bringing it into the act that these minerals, the first before the investor comes, they must realize that these minerals belong to the Zambians. If you discover sujirite in Mwombe, if you come to Pambashi and you discover the high-grade manganese and sujirite, the first thing, the community must be identified as the owners, because by sitting there, our forefathers lived there, our forefathers died and buried there. So if we don't embed it in the law, we'll continue being beggars, Madam Speaker, and we'll continue begging to the foreigners. They'll come and displace us. They'll bring in investment, and we'll start asking from them who have come to invest in our country. We'll start saying they have come to discover. No. How can they come to discover things that we've lived with for so many years? So, Minister, I want to appeal to you and to the executive that we have an opportunity to making sure that we put it in the law by empowering Zambians that whenever these minerals are discovered, whenever these minerals are, the first shareholders must be Zambians by virtue of living in that area. Then we can fight poverty, we can grow our economy, we can emancipate our people from being the intergenerational poverty. If your grandfather was a village headman, like myself who was Chitotera, my father became another one, but if we embed it in the law, I want it to be a shareholder. When you come to mine the sujirite in Pambashi constituents, when you come to mine manganese in Pambashi constituents, by virtue of the people of Pambashi living in that area, the law must provide for their shares. If you are coming, maybe you give us 10%. That must be provided for in the law. Then we can proudly say we begin empowering our own citizens. Yes, the Minister, it is a good initiative. It is a good beginning, but these two key things I wanted to bring to your attention: the good corporate governance If we say yes, let the president be appointing the board members and the chief executive, at what status will the chief executive be? At the status of the permanent secretary? At the board level? Are they going to be not the status of the minister? How are you going to treat them? Who's going to supervise them? Is it the president, or you are going to supervise them? And when it comes to the meaning of beneficiation, how are we going to reward the people who live in those areas where these minerals are? Are we going to treat them as by the way? Are we going to evict them? And after the minerals have been discovered, these big companies will come and said, no, you don't have title to Chitotera village. I've managed to get the mineral rights. I'm going to evict you. And I can cite the example, Minister, before I sit, of Mwombe mine. You know that my late brother, Kennedy Saken, he used to have the surface right to the farmland. After minerals are discovered, we don't know how the family of the late Kennedy Saken will be treated. Is that the way we want to continue treating Zambians, that if you discover minerals at my farm in Pambashi, you just come and say, no, you only have right to the surface. The underground is not your right. I have the right. You will not be entitled to any benefit. I think, Minister, we have an opportunity to give power to the Zambian people, and the only way we can give them power is by making them begin owning what is given to us. I was sharing with somebody, Minister, the only sure way we can be billionaires and we can be rich, God has a secret of hiding wealth under the earth. Until we realize that if we want to be rich, we need to go back to the land. We need to go to the soil. You can talk of gold, silver, copper, sugilite. Everything is buried under the earth. Now, if we do not want to give power to the citizens who live in that area, in those areas where those minerals are, to have a right to the underground, yes, to the underground, then it will be as good as we continue being beggars. Because I remember one friend, Joshua Maponga, said, this education that we continue learning in the universities, if it cannot change the way we live, then let's abandon it. So, Minister, I want to appeal. Please consider introducing a provision where Zambians who live in those areas, by virtue of being there, they become the shareholder. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central. You are not ready? Okay, the Honorable Member for Uzakire, you come after the Honorable Member for Uzakire.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute on the Mines Mineral Regulation Commission. Madam Speaker, from the onset, I want to indicate that I do support, but with few interventions that I would like to make. Maybe we have noted that there are issues that are progressive, also there are issues that are missing. Maybe let me begin by highlighting what is progressive in this bill. Participation of Zambians in the mining, mineral analysis certification by the Commission, annual rate charge, the side scale mineral royalty, oversight powers by the Commission. Then issues that are missing, we have policy directives for value addition for the minerals produced in Zambia, beneficial ownership of mines, environmental protection fund, then need for wider consultation. Madam Speaker, especially for Zambians in the mining sector, we are happy. Gold panning, artisanal and small-scale mining has been reserved to the Zambians, which means that the locals who have a foothold in the mining sector. However, lack of financial resources, technical competences, means that joint ventures will be
a necessary evil for these Zambians who own artisanal mining licenses and the small-scale mines. So the bill should have gone further to highlight how these Zambians who will be doing gold panning, these who own artisanal mining licenses, how they will be helped. Because the number one problem of Zambians who own small-scale mining licenses is they don't have resources to do exploration, because it is from there, when you do exploration, that is when you can quantify minerals, that is where you can know the lifespan of a mine, which also will make it easy to access funds from any financial institutions. Failure to that, no financial institution can help. So we thought that the bill should have gone further to address that matter, Minister. Then number two, mineral analysis and certification by the Commission. This is a good move. It will mitigate a lot of problems like the under-declarations, because this time you've seen that people export concentrates. In those concentrates, there is gold, there are other minerals. You find that there's 20 to 25 minerals. People export copper blister without separating gold and other minerals. So once you do the analysis and certification yourselves, you will know exactly the value of whatever will be exported. But we are concerned, Minister, just from your policy statement, you informed this August House that there are a lot of financial constraints that the minister have, equipment and other related issues. How are you going to manage it? Because this means that now you must have proper labs, you must have equipment, you must have adequate human resource to undertake all these activities. So we want you, as you respond, we want to know how you are going to address that, because even now, because you are crying, you have no capacity as a ministry. That is just from your policy statement, Minister. Then another issue is the annual rate charge. The bill was not clarified, these funds, how they will be used. Just now, we do have the levies, the rates that these mining companies pay to the local councils where these mines exist. These funds, Madam Speaker, are not highlighted anywhere in the budget, and we don't have any document anywhere that indicates even the trickle-down effect to the local people. So we expected this bill to clarify so that we know where we are heading to. Failure to that, then there is no improvement. It's just rhetoric, it's just an academic exercise. Then the sliding scale on mineral royalty. This is progressive. I do remember last time, Madam Speaker, when this government was trying to move away from the sliding scale to the aggregate one. I did appear before the committee. I belabored to stop them. I'm happy they have reintroduced. We are running out of time. Maybe let me go to Environmental Protection Fund on what is missing. Madam Speaker, we are very shocked. This bill on Environmental Protection Fund, they are saying that it will only be refunded after the expiry of a license, or this is not progressive, or termination of a license. Madam Speaker, this fund is needed to address negative impacts that may arise from the environmental pollution that may arise. How do you say this fund will be refunded after termination of a license? This is being reckless. Because, for example, in Busakire, we have houses that have cracked arising from mining activities. And we have not witnessed for so many years a mine whose license has expired, then you collect this fund. So this fund must be there even before a license expires, so that you address a lot of issues. Leaving it like this, Minister, would be a very reckless deal. Then beneficial ownership. This bill is not talking about beneficial ownership. For example, the 40% to 49%, even 50%. You have played a blind eye, these people owning large-scale mining licenses. The government needs to have, on behalf of the people of Zambia, they need to have a foothold in the mining sector. So we expected your bill to address this issue. How is government going to have a foothold in the mining sector? So, Minister, please, this is a very important issue. Over 20 years of privatization has proved that how much we have lost in terms of revenue. This bill, Minister, is what will shape this economy. Through the chair, honorable member. I'm saying through the chair because you kept on calling the minister, the minister. My colleague, Madam Speaker. Continue. Okay, through you, Madam Speaker, to the minister. This bill is what will shape this economy. Honorable Chitota has just highlighted that 90%, 98% of what is here is what was in the economic recovery plan done by the PF. So, please, Minister, we are not politicking here. This is a serious matter, Madam Speaker, that all of us need to support. So we need a proper bill to shape the economy of this country. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, this is an interesting and very important bill. Is it possible, let's avoid repeating points that have already been mentioned by other members, and also maybe we can try to use even less than 8 minutes so that we have a lot of members to debate. The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to debate on very important subject, the Minerals Commission. I totally support the Commission, formation of the Commission. Madam Speaker, maybe allow me, though you have guided not to repeat, just to emphasize the last point, Honorable Member Pavyuma, on the issue of the environmental fund. Right now in Kabwe, our children are suffering from the lead poisoning and contamination. It's because of an oversight of those who were there before. So we need to make sure that the environmental fund, we correct it in advance, and to make sure that wherever that a particular mine is not taking care of the environment, we come in using the same fund. This is very important for us, for our community and for our environment. Madam Speaker, the other point that I want to bring up is the issue of slavery in the supply chain. What I'm trying to bring up now is our people currently, especially the cooperatives, those who own small-scale miners, they are really suffering over the prices that they are getting for their minerals. Why? Because we didn't have the commission. Now, I hope the commission is going to control even the prices for a small scale that are selling within the buyers within the country. Because you find they have their minerals. When they go for testing, they are given very little percentage. Even if it's 10%, when they go there, they're told it's 0.something%. They get little for their money. So I want to make sure the commission now should have a way of coming up testing for our own people, small-scale miners. Our president has got a heart for our small-scale miners, the cooperatives. But we need to help them by making sure that they don't become slaves. They don't work for these local buyers. Of course, the local buyers will even be maybe foreigners. But they'll be getting little if we do not take care of how much they're getting for their hardly earned, minerals I think they process. So we need to make sure that our people are taken care of. If the commission can take care of that, it will be very important. Our own people will make sure they will realize. Of course, what was happening before in the London Metal Exchange, where prices were set, by the London Metal Exchange. That's what is happening right now. That's I'm re-emphasizing that a commission should come up, whether it's laboratories, deliberately to make sure that our people will be able to test, and also to make sure that it will be affordable for our people. Sometimes the laboratory can be there, but maybe prices will be high enough for our own local people to make sure they take their minerals for testing before it can be taken to the market for sale. Otherwise, this is the point that I wanted to emphasize, Madam Speaker, and I thank you so much. I really support the formation of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
Yeah, I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank you, the Minister of Mines, and the President and Cabinet for having listened to the cry of the miners out there. Madam Speaker, despite Zambia having been mining since 1923, we lived in an environment where there was no regulation. But with the coming of the new dawn, finally our cry has been heard. Establishment of a Mineral Regulation Authority, Madam Speaker, is going to ensure that we, members of parliament who come from the mining industry, are no longer a source of complaints. Miners are usually go many months without being paid. Others are discharged on fancy medical grounds. Others, we live in a highly polluted environment. When you go to Kankoe, Madam Speaker, and see how much that environment has been damaged by mining, you would cry whether you're in Zambia. That is all because there was no regulation. With the coming of a Mineral Regulation Authority, such behaviors will not be condoned because they'll come with heavy penalties. So the coming of this authority, Madam Speaker, is giving the miners hope to say for once we have someone to protect us. In establishment of this committee, Madam Speaker, I've observed certain few omissions. We need departments like ZRI to be on this commission. ZRI being an institution which is in charge of collecting taxes on behalf of Zambian people. In a sector where there is high volume but less income, ZRI should be part of this. The commission also should be given powers to prosecute its own cases. The role of ZAMRA, being able to prosecute cases to do with drugs, let's have this commission be able to prosecute cases involving mining, because mining is a very complicated industry. Madam Speaker, the tribunal also should be able to have time frame in which it should dispose of cases. Leaving it open, you will lodge a complaint to the tribunal. It takes 3 years, 4 years without being heard. That will not be augur to the mining industry, which is highly capital intensive. So what we are looking for is, if there is a complaint and the tribunal doesn't hear the case in a certain period of time, automatically the person should appeal to the next stage. In all, Madam Speaker, I want to thank first, again, the Minister of Mines and the President for bringing this authority at a time when Copper Belt is coming back to life again. Tomorrow there's an official handover of Mupani to an investor, and this investor needs to be regulated. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this bold move by the government to introduce this Minerals Regulatory Commission is commendable. This is so because the background clearly tells that as a country we've been exploited by these multinationals because we do not have this commission to ensure that the minerals that are reported to be mined are indeed the ones that are being exported. Not only that, Madam Speaker, I think for the past, they say figures do not lie. For the past 15 to 10 years, you will learn, Madam Speaker, that as a country, we've not been producing. We are supposed to be producing if we had invested what was supposed to be invested in our mining sector. As at now, probably 2 million metric tons per annum. But go and check KCM, a mining firm that almost all citizens know that has been in production. Madam Speaker, KCM for the past 10 years was not producing. It's a fact. They were, if
Figures are there, go and check. What they did, Madam Speaker, what KCM was doing was processing already mined slag dams, including importation of the same from the DRC. It is now that KCM, our colleagues want to invest to ensure that it starts producing. Unless we produce, we can't talk of the country growing economically. If I'm to challenge those that are arguing, I want to challenge you. Can you explain what KCM, in terms of mineral content, was exporting? Madam Speaker, not only KCM, Lumwana, FQM, they produce. Madam Speaker, can I be protected?
Order, honorable members. Order. The honorable member for Chama South. I think you were facing me and I was listening, following attentively. Can you please continue? Honorable members, can we give him chance to debate? The honorable member for Chama South, please continue.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, if they say KCM was producing, how did we end up seeing millions and millions of dollars being found in an account of an individual? Not KCM account. You know, colleagues, some of us, we stand for the betterment of this country.
The
And this
honorable
bill,
member for Chama, don't move away from the bill. Please just debate within the bill. You may continue.
thank you. Madam Speaker, no one has...
Honorable members, order.
Madam
If
Speaker,
there are issues that we do not agree, I think that's why we have the Honorable Minister who is going to respond to all the issues that are being raised on the floor of the House. So the Honorable Member, please let's not waste a lot of time. There are other members that would want to debate. The Honorable Member for Chama South, can you continue but focus on the bill before us?
thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reality is that this country, we've been bleeding because, economically, because of the absence of this regulatory authority. And it is good that the Minister of Mines, you have brought this commission. We want to know, for example, in terms of mineral content, what KCM will be exporting. We want to know what all these mining houses are exporting. There is no way as a nation we will learn from China that we've exported such quantities of cobalt. Records are there, colleagues, which we do not have as a country. These are facts, don't just argue. China reported importation of huge quantities of cobalt, which were not reported by KCM, Madam Speaker. And we will be able to know now, because this government has set up this commission, which will not only regulate the exploration and mining of our minerals, but it will also be able to keep track of what is mined for the benefit of our people. This is something that all of us should support. And on behalf of the people of Chama South, we want to encourage President Hakainde Hichilema. We want to encourage the Minister of Mines and the entire cabinet that this is what we need as a nation. These are not matters that we should be politicking about. We all need this commission. Therefore, Madam Speaker, we are in full support of this bill. For colleagues who are doubting and they don't have information, Madam Speaker, we are here at Parliament to give them figures, not just talking. They say figures do not lie. Figures are there. Please, Honorable Minister, do not relent. We need real investment in the mining sector. It is the actual production that will come out of the mining sector which will build our country, not mere processing. Madam Speaker, with these few contributions, I hope, Honorable Minister, you need also to control the gold sector through this mineral commission that you are about to establish. This country has gold almost everywhere. We have wrongdoers mining gold freely, instead of benefiting the local people of Vugwi, the local people of Kasenseri, the local people of Chama, and the treasury of this country. This gold is benefiting only a few individuals. But with this bill, because there will be regulation, we expect our mineral wealth to be regulated and benefit the people of this country. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Sinazongwe.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for the opportunity given to add one or two words on the subject matter. To start with, Madam Speaker, I do support this bill, though I would say it's late. Actually, it should have been enacted today, so that immediately it starts working, because as a country, we have lost a lot. In supporting the Honorable Mwando's submission, indeed, Madam Speaker, for the past 10 years, KCM was not mining. It was just claiming. So reclamation and mining are two different terms. So I'm really supporting what Honorable Mwando debated on. When you look at, Honorable Minister, you look at how we want to protect these small-scale miners, which is a very, very good idea. In the same vein, Honorable Ministers, my concern is on the licenses that have been issued already. Yesterday, on Prime TV, there was a chief from Northwestern who lamented that all the land, including where the chief's palaces are, it has been taken over by these licenses. I hope, Honorable Minister, this commission and the Royal Highnesses will sit to iron out such differences. Because there was a serious source of concern from the chief. The other issue that I feel, Honorable Minister, through Madam Speaker, that this commission should urgently look at is the packages that are given to people who are relocated. Of course, the commission should work with ZEMA and also the Office of the Surveyor General in trying to address the mega packages that are given to people who are being relocated to pave way for mining activities. I know the law needs to be adjusted or amended, because the figures that are being applied right now, they have lost value. You find someone walking out with a 10,000 kwacha after being relocated. Where does someone go? So this commission, together with ZEMA and the Surveyor General's office, they need to sit together and come up with a more workable solution, so that the people who are being relocated, as we get to formation of these mines, they go with a very good package, so that where they go, they can have a better living than where they were.
So those are the issues, Honorable Minister, I felt this commission should look into very, very seriously. The other issue, Honorable Minister, that I felt this commission should also seriously look at is the aftermath of these mining activities. What will become of this country? The mining areas, once the mining activity has gone, what will happen to those areas? Are there any environmental plans that this commission is going to come up with, of course working with hand in hand with ZEMA, so that at least 200 or 300 years from now, we shouldn't have trenches all over the country. We need a country that will be planned better so that we avoid this climate change that we are seeing this time around. So as I support, please consider my submission. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We'll take two more, Mwembeshi and Shiwangandu, and then we close. The Honorable Member for Mwembeshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the time given to the people of Mwembeshi. May I just add just a few words to this bill, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to bring to you, Madam Speaker, the mineral rights surfaces. They say that mining rights and the surface rights. Madam Speaker, there is an issue, I think, where it says that you cannot acquire the mining rights without prior permission from a land owned by a national park, community partnership, or game management area. Madam Speaker, this issue is a very serious issue. I hope this commission is going to work towards solving out this problem. Madam Speaker, when you look at Kafue National Park, I'll give you an example. Kafue National Park is as big as some of the countries in Europe, maybe bigger than some countries in Europe. But you see, what is happening is that there are some areas like in Kasempa and Mumbwa, where there is too much copper, and this copper is of high grade. This commission must come out with a very positive arrangement where they can say some of the national parks, the game management area, are hived off so that they are able to do the mining. Madam Speaker, you cannot have a situation like hippo mining in Mumbwa, just Kasempa here. It has got very high grade of copper. And the president has been coming here saying that, no, we want to meet 8,000 metric tons of copper. Where do you find it? Because some of these copper mines are finished. And when you go to ZEMA or you go to the National Parks Tourism Minister there, when you go to his ministry, there's too many stories. We can't even come together and agree on some of these issues. What we are saying, Madam Speaker, to the Minister of Mines, that this commission, as it is going to be sitting, let these issues be actually put on the table properly. Then the other issue, because I don't need to speak a lot, the other issue, Minister, is that we want to see some of the issues being affected. You know, when you look at geological survey, the geological survey, people are supposed to do the reports of exploration from various mining rights. But you find that people are not reporting the exploration which they are doing on a monthly basis. Now, this commission, I didn't see the teeth in here. I don't know how we can do it. We needed to have teeth where people who are not conforming with what we are trying to say must be punished. Because you have people, they are mining, no reports, and every day you tell them, give us a report, they are not reporting, or they say that you have got no teeth, you can't do anything with them. These mines, some of them must be closed. This commission has come at the correct time. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the bill before us is indeed a very important one. And a quick perusal of the report from your Committee of Cabinet Affairs has highlighted a number of issues. Firstly, the bill, the background to this amendment of the bill is to establish the Minerals and Regulation Commission, and which is seeking to regulate and monitor the development and management of mineral resources in the Republic. Now, my concern and that of many stakeholders who have expressed their concerns in this report is that sometimes it's also about the law, Chairman, Honorable Minister. Right now we are faced with the same very issues that you are trying to address in terms of what you are saying, monitoring of compliance and enforcement activities, which has resulted in the illegal activities that are going on. Madam Speaker, we have been on this floor of this August House to complain about certain illegal mining activities that have been going on. You allow these illegal miners to establish themselves. We had Kasenseli in Mpika, for example, and then we had another site in Shwangandu called Lukaka. As we speak today, and your colleague, the Minister of Small Scale, has been to these sites, assuring those people who have established themselves and earning a living in those mining activities that they could be regularized by forming cooperatives, which hasn't happened today. What we're hearing today, the police has gone to beat up people on those sites, and it's chaos. I think it's not so much about the law, because if you look at page 6, Madam Speaker, this clause 5, the proposed clause 5 in the bill, is suggesting similar functions that are already assigned and performed by the Cadastre and the Mining Safety Department of the Ministry of Mines. So meaning, you have already had these functions being performed. So why don't we ask, why is it that we have failed to deal with this problem of illegal mining? So, Madam Speaker, there's more that we need to do in terms of regulation, because if you can't regulate, if you can't take stock of what is happening, how then can you be surprised to see planes landing with the dollars at the airport to come and trade in gold? How? It shows you how much it's like where I come from, meaning, Madam Speaker, that the okra prepared by a foolish person will finish in the pot by everybody coming to taste without leaving anything for a meal. This seems to be what is happening now, Madam Speaker, and it's a serious concern. So, it's not about amendments, it's about what we should do in terms of applying these measures that are in place. I'm also concerned, Madam Speaker, about the proposed clause 7, the board of the commission. Madam Speaker, the composition of the board of the commission, as suggested, seems to be leaving some stakeholders, such as the traditional leaders, which were provided for under the Minerals and under the Mines and Minerals Act number 11 of 2015. Why was this considered? Madam Speaker, because most of these mining activities are happening on land that belong to these traditional leaders. And to avoid conflicts, you cannot leave them out in the decision making of those investments that are going to their areas. So, Honorable Minister, be considerate. This is very critical and this is very key, because our traditional leaders, be it in Northwestern Province, now in Muchinga Province where we are discovering some gold, have got a role to play. Because this is the natural capital, God given. So, when something is discovered in the areas, you can't leave them out, because it's these traditional leaders who should ensure that their people in these rural areas, in these villages, are taken on board. Because already there is an expression here
that the ownership of minerals is also not properly defined. It's leaving out the citizens. Of course, there's mention about the president, but that might not be enough. We need the local people to have a stake in what is found in their areas, so that they don't just remain to manage those trenches that are left after the mining activities are done. Because those who come to invest, they will get the minerals, and when they leave, it's the environmental issues are left to the locals to deal with and grapple with. So it's very important that this issue is taken into account. Honorable Minister, there is an issue raised by the stakeholders in relation to clause 2 and its interpretation. So the stakeholders have submitted that the definitions, the definitions related to mineral royalty, which form part of clause 2, is too general, adding that this could explain why in the past the administration of mineral royalty tax lacked stability and challenging, thereby marginally contributing to the total revenue. Madam Speaker, minerals are depleting assets, and if you can't reap from them whilst they are being exploited, you might as well forget. It comes back to what I was saying, Madam Speaker. You remain to deal with these trenches that are built. It's the same with even big operations of the mines. So the moment to benefit from the minerals is when they are being exploited. You can't wait. So this definition, Honorable Minister, it shouldn't be unpredictable and be left to the way the Minister of Finance discusses with various investors in the sector, in the mining sector. It needs to be predictable, and the time to make it predictable is now. As we are dealing with this bill, please attend to this concern which has been raised on page 5 of the report from the committee. Because we miss it now, it will be the same going round in circles. At the end of the day, so, Madam Speaker, we want the Honorable Minister to take into account these various concerns which have been raised.
Honorable Minister, you had mentioned some words, Chipuva. What were you implying?
Madam Speaker, I was saying, it's an example of a foolish person who prepares okra meant for a meal and allows people to come and taste until it's finished. And nothing is left for a meal. So if we can't benefit from the minerals, Madam Speaker, when the minerals are being exploited, we might as well forget. As we speak today, people are being beaten like dogs who are Zambian citizens, and we don't know what's going to happen to those people in Swangan. Madam Speaker, Honorable Minister, small scale, you take it up with your colleague, the Honorable Minister of Mines, because we have been to that site so that we can help our people. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development wind up debate.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. When I look at the time I'm given, I may not react to everyone. But what I'll say is that when you listen to some debaters, you would wonder why we are in this mess today. Because I think the laws that they are referring to were actually there. What this government is doing is to redefine and bring sanity to the mining sector. That's exactly what we are doing. If we had to stop Umlembo Wachipuba, which was so rampant in the past regime, is for us to actively participate in the mining sector.
Minister, if you can just translate that Bemba
Madam
phrase
Speaker,
so that all the people nationwide will get you in
a fool's
English.
meal, Madam Speaker, that's what it means. So, I'm not going to finish that. You can finish it yourself. So, Madam Speaker, I have 4 minutes I need to finish. what the Minerals Commission is trying to achieve is actually to stop a fool's meal from finishing by those who just want to test how nice that meal is. Us, we want to participate. We want to take charge. We want to be in control of the minerals. And somebody was saying that one of the debaters, the board is not going to be appointed by the president. The board will be appointed by the minister. That's what the law is saying here. So, the bill is saying, sorry. So, even issues of environmental protection, all those issues, Madam Speaker, this country went on autopilot. Nobody was controlling anyone. It was free for all. Now, this bill has come, and people are trying to refer, Madam Speaker, that this bill is coming from the previous regime. Why didn't they apply it? This is our own baby as UPND. We said we'll bring sanity. And we said it on this floor of the House. I remember I was seated there, that we are bringing the Minerals Commission. The yelling ahead was, when, we are not even bringing it. Here it is. Because we are methodical, we take our time. We want to cook a proper meal so that our Zambian people can enjoy. Tomorrow, we are giving Mopani to the real investor. Today, as I talk to you, Madam Speaker, millions of dollars have poured into the country. Glencore is paid. Glencore has just been paid, and they are clear. They are off the hook. They are no longer in Mopani. $396 million has been paid to them because of a quality-focused government. As we are talking, ZCCMIH has received $90 million from the new investor. So these issues, Madam Speaker, why we said we are bringing sanity, this is it. It has taken us 2 years to sort out some of these issues. And now we are sorting out. Tomorrow, the methodical great president of Zambia is going to be handing over officially Mopani to the new investors. And Madam Speaker, the new investors are IRH and ZCCMIH on behalf of the Zambian government. We are also part of the investment, and the $600 million that has come as equity, not as debt, Madam Speaker. This is what we talk about when we say sanity is coming back. Yes, it has taken long to let teenage pute ama finale fuma. Meaning, Madam Speaker, we are squeezing the boil. As painful as it may be, tomorrow a baby is being born. Like a mother, Madam Speaker, who is in labor pain, before the child comes out, it is preceded by pain. After pain, Madam Speaker, the child comes out. And Madam Speaker, tomorrow we have that baby in Mopani after Zambia went through a lot of pain. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable members and honorable ministers, please, next time when we are looking at such important bills, let's try to stick to the bill, the content of the bill, so that the people will be able to understand what the bill is all about. Sorry, I think we are behind time. I put the question. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it, and the question is resolved in the affirmative. Let the bill be read the second time.
The Minerals Regulation Commission Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2024.
Committee stage to be taken when? Honorable Minister. 26th March.
26th March, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Business of the House has been suspended for a 20-minute health break, and so we expect business to resume at 17 hours. And at the time Madam Speaker was suspending business for a 20-minute health break, the House had just finished considering the Minerals Regulation Commission Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2024, which was being considered at second reading stage, and so committee stage is expected to be taken on 26 March 2024.
Another bill that is coming up at the second reading stage is the Investment, Trade and Business Development Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2024. That's coming up after the break. So far, the House has considered 2 questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 74, and there was withdrawal of a motion that was supposed to be moved by Mr. Krizosta Halwindi, who is Kabwe Central Member of Parliament. The motion was titled Introduce Tree Planting Week, and so she did request for the motion to be deferred to a later date, and leave was granted. Matimba?
And so we'll be able to share with you the details of everything that will be considered on the floor. Just now we go on a break. Remember, business of the House will resume at 17 hours. Keep watching Parliament Television. Good afternoon. Zambia has been experiencing adverse impacts of climate change, including an increase in frequency and severity of seasonal droughts, occasional dry spells, and increased